Daniel Boone, written by Tom Streissguth. One of the first and most famous American pioneers was Daniel Boone. This is the story of how he opened a road to the West and became an American legend. Daniel Boone lived in North Carolina but heard stories about land to the west, across the Appalachian Mountains. An old friend, John Finley, told him all about Kentucky.
In this country, buffalo, elk, deer, and black bear roam. Beautiful meadows and clear streams lay between the wooded hills.
Daniel listened closely. He could wander in Kentucky. He could help settle the country. Daniel made up his mind. He would go west, into the mountains, and toward the open country beyond.
Pause. Can you locate the Appalachian Mountains on the map? What direction, if we start in North Carolina, would we go to get to the Appalachian Mountains?
In 1769, Daniel Boone and 5 other men crossed the mountains through the Cumberland Gap. The land was as good as John Finley had said. For months, the men hunted and trapped, but they were not alone. Shawnee Indians already lived there. One day, a group of Shawnee men rushed into Daniel's camp. They took the white men's pelts and horses. The Shawnee leader, Captain Will, gave an angry warning.
The white hunters must leave Kentucky and never come back.
But Daniel would not give up his dream. He spent more than a year in Kentucky, scouting, hunting, and trapping. For months at a time, he traveled alone. He lived in caves and hillsides. He built lean-tos by riverbanks. To keep himself company, he talked and sang out loud. Daniel learned all he could about the land. When the time was right for settling here, he would be ready. Finally, in the spring of 1771, Daniel Boone left Kentucky and went back home to North Carolina and his family. But he did not forget the wild country of Kentucky. Two years later, Daniel led a group of families hoping to build homes in Kentucky. Daniel led the way along narrow trails toward the Cumberland Gap. The travelers had to be careful. They were moving through hunting grounds of the Shawnee and Cherokee Indians. The settlers were scared. The Indians were willing to fight to protect their land. Kentucky seemed too dangerous. Most of the settlers turned back, but the Boone family stayed near Kentucky for the winter.
Pause. Can you find the Cumberland City on your map? Can you find the Cumberland River or the Cumberland Lake?
After the winter, a man named Richard Henderson gave Daniel a chance to return to Kentucky. Henderson wanted to blaze a road and build a town in the Kentucky wilderness. He wanted Daniel to help him convince the Cherokee Indians to give up the land. And he wanted Daniel to lead the building of the road. In return, Daniel would earn 2,000 acres of land. In early 1775, Daniel and Richard Henderson visited the Cherokees. Daniel told them where the white men wanted to settle. The Cherokees agreed to sell the land, but they warned Daniel and Henderson that other Indians still lived there. In March, Daniel gathered about 50 men in northern Tennessee. Together they would build the Wilderness Road. The men reached the Kentucky River in April. Daniel chose a place for the new town. The men began building log houses. They named the place Boonesboro, after the man who had led them.
Pause. Can you find Tennessee on your map? What direction would you have to go from Tennessee to get to Kentucky? Can you locate the town Boonesboro on your map?
That summer, Daniel Boone returned to his family. The Boones packed their things and followed the wilderness road that Daniel had blazed into Kentucky. On September 8, 1775, Daniel and his family reached their new home, and they began to build a new life in Boonesboro. For the next 3 years, Daniel Boone led the people of Boonesboro through hunger and danger. The town survived, and over time, the Wilderness Road served as a path west for thousands of settlers. Daniel Boone never received the 2,000 acres he had earned for blazing the Wilderness Road and settling Boonesboro.